I didn't record on Saturday, but we will today. And we've been talking in the last few days about this idea of what is holy. We have come up with some other words, words like wholehearted, open, present, divine, sacred, venerable, pure, and others. I like to stick right with the simplest word, whole, as this moving oneself into connection, into the gathering of oneself. And this winter solstice today is actually an amazing opportunity because of the being stripped bare into stillness, into the darkness, into hibernation, someone might say, into the quietude. Maybe you all have other words that you, or thoughts that you might offer about the benefit of this time of solstice, of rest. If you have them, please include them in chat, whether to me or to others. But I thought we would talk about that today in this idea of, we often think of holy, I think, don't we, as a doing rather than as a state or quality or way of being. And I think that's a mistake, because I think actually it is from the stillness, quietude, silence, that which is whole, present, fresh, new emerges. And I will do some talking about that today. But I have a couple thoughts about it. One, and you will love these poems, so I'll make sure to send them to you. One I have read before, called Darkness by David White. Another, of course, by Mary Oliver, because as we have been investigating holiness and that which is holy both within us and then around us in the world, and we had Jan, didn't we, last time saying, I think it's both. I think it's through the eyes of holiness, one sees the holy world. And through the truth of the holy world, we are made holy. And I think it's a mutual exchange, one for the other, as we say in the Bodhisattva vow, one for the other. No separation, no disconnect, no real difference. And I know that to be true. I know when I'm in my shutdown, it doesn't matter the beauty of the world. It doesn't matter its expanse. It doesn't matter its mystery. I forget for the small mind's story. And when I remember, that's why I practice. When I remember, which I always do in the practice itself, that holiness, wholeness, wholeheartedness, whole beingness, one's Buddha nature, one might say, one's truest, most authentic and nature, then the truth is everything we think, say, and do becomes holy. And then the world is holy too. So that's a little reminder on where we've come. We're going to now focus specifically on how do we then rest in darkness. We could say difficulty, challenge, problem, unhappiness, dis-ease. How do we rest there then? Trusting that light, the light we have now lost. This is the shortest day of light in the year. how do we entrust our own goodness and the goodness of the world to that light? And then we'll talk more about the reality that even light itself, isn't this amazing, actually has come from the dark. It is not the other way around. It is not from action. It is from actually inaction, from rest, from respite, from quiet, from darkness, that light even emerges, as was true, I think, billions of years ago with the birth of the sun and this earth. So let's hold on to some of those ideas. Why don't you get prepared to sit? We're going to listen deeply to David White and to Mary Oliver. I want you to feel the difference in their communication about it. And then I'll ring the bell. Darkness by David White. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. That's exactly what we just said about holy, isn't it? When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. You are a part of that. There, you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your womb tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds, except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. And I might say too false. It is not yours. And so let it be, right? That we must align in some way with the truth of our own experiences. We must stay in direct contact with the truth as we know it, this life, this moment, in order to find our way. Darkness by David White. Here is now Darkness by Rilke, one of my favorite poets. And I love what he says here as well. I hope you can see this. Maybe I'll refresh so that you can. You, darkness, from whom I am born, I love you more than all the fires that block out the night. For the fire limits the world to the circle it lights up and excludes all the darkness. But the darkness holds everything. Vast, open, spacious shapes and shadows, creatures and me, peoples and nations, just as they are. It lets me imagine a great presence stirring beside me and within me, right? I believe in the darkness. The darkness from which all light comes. It is true. And Rilke beautifully speaks to that. Here's our final. See what this resting in respite in darkness might mean for you. Snowy Night by Mary Oliver. Last night, an owl in the blue dark tossed an indeterminate number of carefully shaped sounds into the world in which, a quarter of a mile away, I happened to be standing. I couldn't tell which one it was, the barred or the great horned ship of the air. It was that distant. But anyway, aren't there moments that are better than knowing something and sweeter? Snow is falling, so much like stars filling the dark trees that one could easily imagine its reason for being was nothing more than prettiness. I suppose if this were someone else's story, they would have insisted on knowing whatever is knowable, would have hurried over the fields to name it, the owl, I mean. But it's mine, this poem of the night, And I just stood there listening and holding out my hands for the soft glitter falling through the air. I love this world, but not for its answers. And I wish good luck to the owl, whatever its name. And I wish great welcome to the snow, whatever its severe and comfortless and beautiful meaning. I wish good luck to that which is unknowable, and I wish to rest in this too. So let's prepare to sit. And so this resting in quietude, this resting in the mystery, this resting in darkness is our call on this winter solstice. Maybe not having the answer, maybe simply opening, deep opening to the question. And so we rest, feet, legs, hips resting on the earth. And we still ourselves like this dark night. We still ourselves for a moment. We let only the breath move. And settle the body. It is likely quiet where you are. Can you feel held in the womb of that quiet, that darkness? The darkness from which all light, all life emerges and returns. Maybe our truest home. Can you feel the way the body moves itself without effort or distress? See if you can feel into that quiet. We might simply come to rest in what sometimes is called the glory of the darkness. The glory of the darkness. Can we feel the open, vast space in which nothing else needs to be known? There are no thoughts or words or requirements here. Can we savor this no thing, this no requiring? We need time, essential time in this quiet in order to heal, to grow, to sustain, and to be. Let go of all thoughts about getting it right, understanding, being any certain way at all. This is an opportunity to simply be in this Buddha body. And may we offer any benefits of this practice today towards the good. May it cause least harm. May it benefit both ourselves and others. And may it come from quiet. We place the mind then in that darkness, in that quiet, in the womb. And even the darkness holds us. Just like the quiet. This isn't trying to be any certain way at all. We're letting go. This is one of our biggest errors in the practice, isn't it? We seek something. There's nothing to seek. There's simply this resting in that mystery. With no question. It actually has a vibration. So if you can let the mind be still enough, what you will sense, there is an actual vibrational sense, resonance in the stillness, in the darkness. It actually heightens the senses. It's as if we were resting in that dark night, and only then can you see the multitude of stars, the way the little bit of light plays on the leaves and the grass. We're just resting in that dark. See if you can feel the truth of this in the body. I don't know about you, but I've noticed that really about an hour after dark, I am done. If I just deeply listened to the body's energies, I would simply be at rest. And this darkness, though it is, we can bring fear to it or worry and this felt sense of groundlessness, which if we have not practiced resting in it can become terrifying. Really deep within it is our truest home. place where nothing is asked. It is only offered by holding. And so we let the breath flow as it will naturally. We continue to place the mind in that open, vast, dark sky. And we rest. We gather together in that rest. We feel the sense of the breath moving in the body. No thoughts required. Remembering that things are often most alive, most present, most known, right in the dark, just like those starry night skies. Only known in the quiet. There may be a grief or a sorrow there, tucked away. But in our stillness and in the quietude, it can simply also be. Maybe fear, distress, held in quiet. There is room for this also. But we never lose sight of the limitlessness or the boundlessness of the sky, this dark sky, which shows a completely different reality. We are not distracted by the light, and so can turn a little more inward. Can you feel the greater sense of peace in the world. The dark is the opportunity to sense the infinity, the boundless, edgeless, limitless quality of our own being at rest. We surrender our seeking in the dark. We turn towards being as the way. See if you can find that breath. The eyes naturally turn inward. You might notice that you can finally feel things, sense things that are otherwise also quiet. And as I said before, sometimes hidden. And in the darkness, we cannot know them by sight first. And this is often a good thing. We have to feel our way in the dark. And so we rest right here in the body, or right here in the heart space. Feeling what's here. Maybe it presents as an energy, either a little vibrant energy. I just noticed a little quickening as I dropped into the heart space. Or maybe a settling. Remember, no thing better than the other. If you have a habit or moving mind, this might be extra challenging or extra scary. Who or what am I if I am not that movement? Interestingly, you are more. The darkness holds everything, the silence hears everything, the stillness feels everything, and it is to be known. When the mind moves, simply recognizing that, invite the mind back here to this peaceable place, to this rest, to this non-being. In the Christian tradition, there is something called Advent. It suggests that this is a time of waiting. I think the idea of resting, nothing to wait for, already enough, right in there resting, filled with possibility by its boundless nature. is from this sense of infinite and open, restful, peaceful, nothing else to do or be, that the holy is born. We can finally make contact with our own boundless, wholehearted nature. When we need rest and peace, we seek the darkness, and it holds us. And in the communion with the darkness, we can discover ourselves completely. We can know the body and its subtle energies. We can know the mind and its gentle movement. We can know the capacity of this boundless heart to hold everything just like resting in that stillness, the quietude, the peace. And
Diana, you're on mute.
I am on mute. Thank you. Can we rest in the quiet? Let's say in the muteness. In that darkness invited by this solstice. I'm not sure how long I've been on mute, maybe the whole time, which would have been quite an amazing opportunity, wouldn't it, for that quietude that I was referencing with words during some of this practice. It may be that it came on suddenly at some point later. Actually, no matter, because the quiet and the stillness in the darkness is the point. And so I'll just ask you two things. One is, what is our typical, what do you notice is our typical reaction? Let's stay with reactions because I think that's where the darkness becomes distressing, or the stillness or the quietude becomes distressing. I think it's always a reaction, actually, because we are born from this very darkness, from this very stillness, from this very quietude. And then out of habit, right? And it's often in our craving, seeking, wanting nature that we begin the movement, both the movement of the mind, of course, and then the distress, and then the clamor, I think, that we often can feel, especially, isn't it, at this time of year as we are approaching the darkness, like, quick, grab something. And I think this holy season, if we don't use it quickly, or I think can easily become that, which we try to what then avoid or fill. I'm not sure. Leslie, I see you saying it was from about 5:40. I don't know if that's 5 minutes in. Those who want to hear the recording later, I'm suspecting the recording caught the continuation of the pointing is all it is, right? Towards the darkness, towards the quiet. But do you notice what else happens for you in that darkness? Do you notice that distress or the grip? I caught it a little bit at the beginning myself. When I turned towards the heart, I could feel it happen. I think it's good to know that's not the darkness itself. I wonder if you can sense that. It's actually what we are projecting into it. We perceive what the boogeyman there. We perceive the unknown, desperate thief or murderer or there. We project into the darkness, actually, qualities of the darkness that I don't believe are true of the darkness. I think it's true of our fear, though. That fear that we put into, like, if I don't know, if I can't see, if I can't act, if I can't run, if I can't flee, then I can't be safe. And in fact, quite the opposite, I think, is available to us in the darkness. I've got some chats here. I'll check in on those. Thank you. It says, if we don't use it, we lose it. Yeah, if we don't get familiar with darkness, the truth is we won't be able to tolerate it because we develop habits for the light, don't we? And energy and radiance, and it's all good. This is not to say anything against those positive, pregnant, but there's also something in the pregnancy that requires that stillness, isn't there? The non-movement, the forming, the nascent, we call it, qualities that we go into at this time of year necessarily, right? We are preparing ourselves, aren't we, for another period, for the season of light. But this is a season of stillness and darkness. And I know we resist. And I don't know if you've been out on the roads, but if you have, you can feel that grasping, clinging, restless energy. My sons are in their 30s and they have actually come home going, I'm not going back out there. This is really their first experience of, preparing for the season. And isn't that what it actually is? It's preparation for this quiet. We do harvest a little, don't we? We do give to each other goodwill, loving kindness, because we're going to need it to sustain ourselves through this quiet time, through this dark time. And so it's not wrong either, is it? You just have to be careful that you don't think that's what we're trying to sustain. No, we're actually just preparing for going into quiet. And today being now the darkest day, right? We are resting now in, let me see what else. Very solemn. Yes, I enjoyed going so deep under it all, a place where I could fully relax. Yes, isn't it true? And we need that rest. We need that rest. It's critical. I feel like this entire year I've been in this darkness. That might not be the darkness we're talking about, Tanya. I want us to be careful because that darkness is often a projected darkness of sadness, grief, or fear. That's not what the darkness holds. That's a part of our projection. So I just want to make sure we distinguish those. There is a quiet, however, that holds it all also. And so that may be what you're talking about, which is there is a darkness that holds the grief, that holds the sorrow, that holds the fear, that holds everything really like a womb. And that may be what you're referencing. So to distinguish those two, there is the darkness we project into. We take what we perceive as negatives, not wanted, and sometimes we hide it in the dark. And then we get afraid of the dark because we have hidden aspects, shadow aspects of our own being there. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's not darkness. That's what we've hidden there. That's what we've disowned. That's what we've buried there. And they are quite distinct. So we want to make sure we don't mistake darkness for those qualities. It is not true. They do not hold that. I love the quiet, a dark rest. Yes, me too, Marilyn. To be still in darkness and just be. Yes, Tanya, that's what we're talking about. Infinitely, vastly spacious. As much as that radiance light moves out, guess where it moves out to? the darkness. That's where it's being held by, guess what? Light is held by the dark. Wow, look how big that is. Blows my mind. It's that big. It holds the light. That's how big it is. And rather than be fearful or distressed, can we rest? I have something here. Marie, I decided yesterday not to return to the office. Yes, because it was so crazy driving home. Yep. Also just decided to gift myself this day off next year. Yes, I've decided to gift myself most of this week to be quiet. And then I have been noticed, I will tell you, that out of that quiet, certain love has been revealed. And it is, for example, my husband, this is just an example, of course, my husband's, what are we having for Christmas Day? What are we having for Christmas Day? What are we doing? What are we eating? What are we, blah, blah, blah. And I've been like, I don't know. And well, what about prime rib? I don't know. What about, yeah, I don't know. And it just wasn't there. And it wasn't till we finally gave that up, this like, maybe we're not supposed to be working so hard at this because it's not working out, that this decision to make a traditional family, Italian family meal came. And we made homemade raviolis, which is a big tradition in our family. We haven't done it for over 4 years because of the death of my father and other changes in our family. And I have to tell you, it was the easiest thing to do. The hardest thing became the easiest thing to do. It was truly out of the quiet, out of just love, that came, and then of course was perfect. Guess what my son said as an example? Wait a minute, that feels like too much work. He was doing that for us. Wait a minute, that might be too much work. Well, you know what was interesting? It was the least work because it came from the quiet. It didn't come from the grasping, have to make it X because it's been a tough year, Y. We've got to do it because maybe somebody won't be here next year. It didn't come out of that. It came out of simply love, simply love. And this time of solstice, which, by the way, doesn't it by itself have a quiet in it? Doesn't the word solstice by itself kind of roll rather than shot out? Yes, trying not to overplan. Boy, isn't this something we've got to be careful and overmanage. It's true. To ensure I can enjoy. It is absolutely right. We're so afraid of what? Separation, exclusion, disconnect, inertness, that we don't rest in the quiet. We're so fearful. And I'd like to invite us, as we did today, to rest in that. A little bit more risk. And if you notice that distress, I'm going to say that is some projected quality in you to investigate and love also. It is some quiet, hidden, shadowed piece of you that is asking to be held in the quiet. And can we risk it? You know, we've talked about exquisite risk here, and that's exactly what's needed now, right? My husband and I looked at the clock yesterday. It was 5:30, not 7:30, 5:30, and we were like, done, we're done. And we went and read and talked a little and just connected and were quiet. And it felt so reviving, so being held, that I want you to risk it too. And in this season, in this holy season, This is the invitation. It is not only to the light. We know, by the way, there's been experiments done on plants, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but plants, there were plants put only in light, plants put only in darkness, and then plants given a balance of light and dark, and you already know which one did best, don't you? The plant that was only in the light just grew quickly and burnt up. And it burnt up. And the one in the dark barely grew, did not have enough balance, and it was never offered, though it began. It was never offered enough light to begin. And the one that it was offered, and that's our job, right? Finding that movement in the midst of the stillness, the quiet in the midst of sound, the dark, that from which everything is born and to which everything returns. And I think this is a time of returning for a while to darkness. I'll check in and see if there's anything else. Anybody who would like those two poems on the solstice, three actually, because of Rilke's darkness. Let me know. I will send those to you. I have a little complement of solstice poetry I can send your way. Actually, I love them, and I love reading them at this time to remember the true nature of the dark rather than our projected. Yes. Good, Tanya, got you and Jan, and I'll just.
So Diana,
Yeah.
I've been out at the ranch, so you know it's dark here and it's very quiet. So yeah, I'm just so grateful for what you just shared, and it's exactly where I needed to be and embrace some things and slow down.
Yes. Yes.
So the dogs are a constant reminder of, hey,
What were
now,
they doing, Tanya, right? Nothing.
they have been lounging, and actually I canceled work, and one of them wasn't doing so well, but I just needed to be with him and sit, and in just doing that, it was like, yeah, I'm taking care of this animal who seems to be in distress, or I can't tell, but just to be comforting.
Yeah.
And he was doing the same thing for me. Like instinctually doing the same thing.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, work is work. At the end of the day, no, my well-being is worth a heck of a lot more than what I think.
We need a lot of time for it, don't we? Again, my husband and I just recognizing, again, the effortless love that was clearly there yesterday in making the raviolis, but also the complete need for nothing. 5:30, we were done. We were like, do you want to make it? Nobody was up for dinner. Forget it. We just needed that rest. Tanya and I connected a little around that yesterday because we were both in exactly the same place. And it inspires then whatever does come, because then you can feel I think some words Tanya used, like filling our own tank, getting what we need then leaves us available to making these offers when we choose them. Yes, we have been slow and in a kind of darkness for almost 2 years. I agree with you, Marilyn. I don't know that we have been able to use that darkness or that stillness or silence as much as I would wish we could. Our own fear, I know, and the distress of what's next and what variant and what's the mask rule and what's the vaccine requirements and how do I not get sick have come with that. And this is how I think we can mistake the darkness for the problem. actually. And this is why I want us to look at our own projections of fear, of pain, of sorrow, of grief, because I think those qualities are often sometimes intentionally and sometimes not so intentionally stored, placed, or hidden there. And then they become shadow elements that we become afraid of because we disconnected from them. So can we practice? Yeah. The light comes in its time. Yeah. Yeah, it does come in its time. Actually, here's a tricky part. I think we have to rest in the dark and let it find us too. Right? No, because we don't trust that. We know how to create light, right? We're generators. But actually resting in the dark, letting the light find us is something we are terrified by. But I want to assure you all, you are capable of this and are in fact, that is your nature. Both the dark and that light which shines in it is you. So I want you to know that. And yes, we do have to trust something. I think that's also right. But is it something in the dark or is it something in you that requires the trust? Something in the dark or something in you? We have to trust, right, our own okayness, that I won't just become a blob. I know this is one of the fears for people is, God, if I just let myself rest, I'll just flump into a puddle and I won't act and I won't move and it'll choke me or it'll drown me in the darkness. Actually, it's not possible. Number one, you are also that. And B, you are also that light, which will radiate and shine clearly in it when we allow that to be. And so there we are, trusting that. Yeah. Somebody's written, I talked with a friend yesterday who's really gone downhill physically and mentally. I reminded him it's his light, which he must find. Yes. And also learning to abide, Dennis, isn't it? Because it can be too much energy at once. Must learn to abide in the quiet and in the darkness. And so let's all practice, because I don't know if you know this, but right in the darkness, there was something which knew it, right? And what did Leslie say? Resting deep, we've come to find our own true nature and the deep, beautiful darkness and light that is within, but must come to stillness and rest to make contact with it. That effortless light, one that's always there. Just to remember, yeah. Most of us don't want to rest in the darkness to find that. We want to generate, we're creators, we love energy, and we go into distress when the darkness comes. But I see this as an amazing opportunity, right? Just like that 9 months of quiet before a birth. So I'd like us to invite the rest, to invite the quiet, and to see if we can notice the difference between our projecting something into the dark because it is a blank screen versus resting in it, which means you allow it to hold you. It's a very different quality. And if you could imagine maybe just being in a cocoon or womb and protected versus being threatened or at risk, that might be somewhat helpful. All right, everyone, good to see you all. Greg will be here on Thursday morning at 7. Please join. Saturday is a little up in the air for me, but Carrie will be signing on at 7:30. We will not, of course, be in the garden. It is Christmas Day. We will be doing Zoom, and my family will be here, so I don't know. I always practice anyway, but I might be practicing at 5:30, not at 7:30 based on our family's movements. but it will be my greatest aspiration to join you if we can. We're going to be doing that same resting, however, right? This kind of light in the dark. We'll talk about that on Christmas Day, because that was that idea that even in the midst of the darkness, there is a bright light that shines. And on Christmas morning, I think what a beautiful time with a beautiful tradition to investigate that. Again, this is not a system of beliefs. This does not require being Christian or Jewish or something. It means, can you see that quality in you? And we've rested in the dark now. We're going to use Saturday as an opportunity to see if we can't connect with that which shines the bright light of awareness in it. And I will look forward to that time. Thank you, everyone. Wonderful to see you all. Yes, enjoy this short day of the year. That's right. More light and more light every day from here. Actually. Good news, right? It's never as dark as today, actually.
Yeah, like today I woke up going, what? Wait, it usually the light is already, the sun is starting to shine, and it's like, it's still dark.
It's still dark. It really was, wasn't it? Did
I kind
anybody
of
else notice?
I didn't freak out, but I was kind of like, wait a minute. Did I sleep the entire day? What happened?
Isn't it true? And by the way, it's still got a little cast in it. It's very interesting, isn't it?
It is.
See if we can't use this day in whatever we're doing, right? Whatever we're doing, to take things a little slower, to be a little more attentive and mindful, to be a little more present, letting that inner light shine, right? Let the inner light shine. Sometimes it makes ravioli.
Or you don't do anything at all.
Which is just as important. I might.
I was gonna say, when you were sharing that about making the ravioli, usually I am like a baking fiend, baking and prepare and do it. And this year I'm like, yeah, I brought the stuff where I'm at to do the baking, but yeah, it's still sitting in the bag on the counter, and I'm like, yeah, not feeling it.
Not so far.
Not today.
No, not so far. And you know what, Tanya, I completely trust if it is the right thing, and I want you to trust it as much. If it's the right thing, you'll find your way to it. And by the way, it may not be the year. And isn't that okay too? Again, I didn't make raviolis for 4 years. I made them for 30 before, but that became a habit.
Yeah. You know, I've always been the baker, the preparer, making everything for the holidays. And these last, it's like, okay, not doing that today. Not feeling that today. And the other day, to be honest, I did have a struggle with it. And I just kind of sat there on the couch going, what's my problem? Oh, because you're not this, it's not that, it's not the holiday I am used to.
Yes.
And it's okay. And I had to be okay.
Yeah, there is an okayness in it. It's not every time is the time for movement, action, energy. There is so much to get from the stillness. Again, I've had 4 years of that. It took that long. It's okay. In fact, I want to say it was necessary. I will go further and say it was necessary.
I definitely can agree with you on that. Like, it was like one of these profound moments yesterday of like, and it's okay.
Yeah. Let's rest there and see all the good that comes. Yes, people are saying they want to learn to make raviolis. Well, I'll do a ravioli class, folks. It is so fun. And actually, it's a science now at our house. So we are we can produce 100 raviolis in about 2 hours, which is unbelievable. And yes, pierogi, which is, there is a Polish side to my family as well, Dennis. And pierogis are also delicious. And we made them in butter and then had they were just spectacular and are also quite difficult to make. These are foods that have to be made with terrific love, and often with a community, right? Because that's their challenge. They are not an easy thing to make. It requires several people. Somebody's making dough, somebody's making filling, somebody's my husband is the dough thinner. He has a machine that it's incredible. Somebody's the filler, somebody's the crimper. We have a crimper in the family who crimps with a special.
I'm coming to your house, Diana, because I've
Yes.
done that for years by myself.
Yes. No, it's a crazy.
But I'm coming to your house.
Yes. By the way, our cookies, we have 2 traditional Eastern European cookies. I'd love to share them when we get them done. By the way, that's the same. They're also very intense, and you've got to fill them with a fruit, and then you fold them and roll them, and that's why I think we have to be restful. We have to be restful, and then see what comes. And then I'd love for you to trust it. Let it be this year, without demand, without expectation, without fear that if you don't do it, that no good will come. I hope you can. I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday morning. Love to you all. Blessings in this season of darkness on the way to the inner light. May you find it today. May you find it now. All right, everyone. Blessings. Mwah. Love to you all. See you soon.